spiritual rhythms or disciplines are intended to cultivate our relationship with God independently. And those are really special, beautiful experiences and practices that we can institute into our lives. But we can also practice rhythms that are meant to be used within the community of believers. So whether you're talking about a larger organization like a church congregation or a smaller group of discipleship or a life group, being committed to a community is an important part of following Jesus. We need each other. God, He created us for companionship, for friendship. And then within a church context, we are each given a spiritual gift to build up other people in the church. So this week, let's consider our level of commitment and ask God if He's drawing you to be more committed to a group of believers, to a church, a specific church, or to a group. And then think of how many ways you can use your unique gifts from God to encourage and to make a difference in the lives of those people who are in that group. As we're all participating and being committed through joyful times and difficult times, we will begin to operate as a healthy organism. And that's the way the church is intended to operate. So let's use this rhythm of being committed to a community to help one another draw even closer to God.
When we remember Jesus, what He endured, what He suffered, and the joy on the other side of that, it encourages our faith. It encourages us that when we face the hard things of life, the suffering for His name, that there is hope, there is joy on the other side, there's joy in it because we know that our God will overcome. And so we're going to sing a song that declares that, and sing it with us, and let's celebrate it together.
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering you saw to the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit. stone was moved for good, for the Lamb that conquered death. And the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born, then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel, shall not faint. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Oh, praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of kings. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of kings. Praise forever to the King of kings. Praise forever to the King of kings.
So I was standing there in the coffee line at church one Sunday morning, waiting for things to get started. And the pastor's wife, Kathy, comes up to me and she asks, Mike, would you and Heather be willing to host a life group in your home? I got pretty excited because we were there to try to connect with people and get to know people. And I just said, yes, we would love to. And I didn't realize the commitment level I was making when I said yes. And I also didn't realize that 10 minutes later, they would be announcing that Mike and Heather are hosting a life group in their home from the stage. And at that point, I'm not even sure that news had gotten to Heather yet, that we were hosting a weekly life group in our home. But I can look back at my life and I can tell you that those times where I have grown the most in my closeness with God, in my intimacy with God, is when I have committed to something that brings me in the same place at the same time for the same purpose with other people on the same mission as me, and or exploring the same truths as me, or embracing the same life as me. That commonality of mission and purpose and a commitment to togetherness, because we would have people come to our home every week, and there's a few things that meant. One, it meant that we were sure to clean our house really well at least once a week, which was awesome, because it kept our house clean and organized. But it also meant, the commitment part meant that regardless of what happened that day, people were coming. And we had a choice. We could either cancel and break our commitment, which that wasn't something we would do, or we could put on a fake face of everything's okay and pretend like we're fine, even if we just had an argument, and people would show up and we would put on the masks of being okay, and or we could risk and be vulnerable and transparent and real. And I don't remember exactly which meeting it was and how many meetings we had, but it was pretty early on in this getting to know people stage, and we had people coming over, and the guy who was leading the group just asked, "How's everybody doing?" And I just led with, "We're not doing very well. We just had an argument 5 minutes before everybody got here." And I remember the room just got silent because we were the first ones to lead in that group with this level of vulnerability and transparency. But if if we hadn't committed to that group, the joy of connection and community that happened over the next year and a half, 2 years, wouldn't have happened, because that opened the floodgates for everyone to be real. Let's just be real. Life is hard. People argue, and other people are coming over right in the middle of the argument. That just happens. And I was grateful for that commitment that we made to that community, because it helped me grow closer to God, because it put me in the same place with people where I got to be real. I got to be accepted. I got to be corrected and directed and taught, and I got to share my gifts with people. People shared their gifts with me, and that's really what the whole essence of what church is. And as we look at this commitment to community as this rhythm, that is the rhythm. That is the effort that we make. All these rhythms that we're teaching are purposeful steps that we take to draw our hearts closer to God, to his purpose, to his community. And this one is a rhythm, because it takes intentionality and commitment for us to step into. When Jesus is asked, what is the greatest of all the commandments? He says, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And then as a continuing thought, he says, and the second is this, to love your neighbor as yourself. And oftentimes we lump those together to do a teaching, but I think sometimes we miss something, that when Jesus taught this, there was an order, right? He says, and the second is like it, but the first is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. So if I point that out to say, if you are struggling with finding a way to express commitment, and for some of us it's really hard. We may be going through a season of trauma and recovery, or we may have some deep insecurities and pain. We may be this super introvert, and it takes a Herculean effort to do anything with anyone or commit to anything. If you are in that space, I want to remind you or encourage you that the way Jesus taught the greatest command was first to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And sometimes we need a season of doing that. And so these rhythms that we're encouraging you to spend time alone with God, right? To pray the scripture, to reflect and confess, and to worship by using scripture to tell you and inform you and for you to own how you're worshiping God. These are those rhythms that you lean into first to empower and encourage you to commit to a community. And the community you commit to is important. You should be cautious of what you commit to, right? You want to make sure you're committing to a community that is on the same mission as you. And please do not be deceived that just because you attend a service that you are forced and obligated to commit your heart to those people. Be discerning, be cautious, be careful what you commit to. And then, because what that does is that gives you confidence in your commitment. That gives you courage to sacrifice and even suffer for this commitment to this community because you believe in it. You're not committing to commitment. The quality of what you commit to matters. And so when you commit to something that is in line with Scripture, on mission, a culture of encouragement and life-giving, not one of condemnation and control. Just be cautious what you commit to, because if you commit to the wrong thing and you're committed to commitment, that will lead you to toxic relationships, dysfunction, strife, anxiety, even depression, because you feel stuck. So when we talk about this spiritual rhythm of commitment and community, keep in mind that it is the first thing is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Now, you will find that as you are growing in your faith, as you cultivate these rhythms and this closeness with God, something will happen, and it happens to all of us. Your desire to share the love of Jesus in the way that you are gifted with the people around you will grow. And it will grow and it will grow. And you'll realize, I want to share the love of Jesus with people around me. And you're going to realize, I need other people to help me do that. And you're going to see and feel the tangible need to be committed to a group of people where you are supporting, encouraging, using your gifts with one another so you can be a healthy, committed group that is doing the thing that's on all of our hearts. We want to share the love of Jesus. And we don't want to do it in a way that's weird. We don't want to do it in a way where we're going to, disrespect people or come at it with an arrogant attitude like we know better. We don't want to do that. We just authentically want to share the love of Jesus. And Scripture tells us, which is just reveals something very true that I think we all know, we're all different. We all share the love of Jesus in different ways. And you're going to find that we're going to need each other to be able to do that in a way that is life-giving and sustainable and encouraging. Because we're also going to run up against opposition. This world is following a different king than we are following, and there's going to be conflict, and we're going to need to support and encourage and bear one another's burdens. I want to give you three simple ways to share, three simple statements, I'll say, to share your faith. And this has been really empowering for me and a lot of people that we've taught this to. When we follow Jesus and we get close to God and we cultivate these and we live in committed community, we find we want to share Jesus in a way that is authentic to who we are, and we're not trying to manipulate people. We're just trying to present the best thing that's ever happened to us, and we want to share it. That's Jesus. Here's three statements. One, I believe that I was put on this earth to make a difference. I hope you believe that. You have a purpose here to make the world better, the world around you, and you've been uniquely gifted to do that. And it's the love of Jesus that empowers you and equips you and compels you to love people. Two, I believe that sacrificial love is the most powerful difference maker I can imagine. Think about that, sacrificial love. It's why the movies that we love are those hero movies where someone sacrifices for someone else, or those romance movies where someone gives up family, career, whatever, health, whatever they give up for the sake of love. Like, we love that story, and it's something that resounds true within us, that we see that sacrificial love is that thing that transforms lives. And number three, I can't imagine a more sacrificial love example than Jesus Christ. So I want to follow him. Like, if someone asks you why you believe or why you're committed to a community or why you're following Jesus, your answer can be that simple, that logical. And then you can maybe just tell your story of what Jesus has done for you. And let me just bring it back full circle. If you're not sure how to articulate your story, spend time in these rhythms. Spend time reflecting and listening to God and reading Scripture, and you will find that your compulsion becomes clear to you. When you commit to a community, you will find you get closer to the person of God. And you will find that when you get closer to the person of God, you find more of the need to commit to a community.
Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you are called to peace. And now, as a committed community, let's go be the church.